Have you ever considered that something as ordinary as the way you rest your head at night might quietly be working against your health? I'm not talking about missing a few hours of sleep or waking up with a stiff neck. I mean something far more serious, something that could silently raise your chances of a stroke without you even realizing it. For many people over 60, and especially beyond 70, the body doesn't manage blood flow the way it once did. Veins and arteries become less flexible, circulation slows down, and that means positions you hold for hours during sleep can set the stage for trouble. You close your eyes thinking you're resting, but inside, the wrong position might be quietly restricting blood flow, lowering oxygen levels to your brain, and increasing pressure where it shouldn't be. By the time morning comes, the damage might already be set in motion. Wisdom beyond 60, dear everyone, this isn't about making you fearful. It's about giving you the knowledge to protect yourself, starting tonight. Because here's the unsettling truth. Some sleeping positions you've used for years, maybe even decades, could be undermining your brain health in ways you've never considered. And the solution? It might be as simple as making small, almost effortless adjustments to how you lie down. But first, you have to know what's really going on when you drift off into those long, still hours. Imagine your body like a river system. When you were younger, the current was strong and clear, carrying everything it needed without interruption. Now, the flow moves more slowly. It takes only a slight bend, twist, or pinch in that system to cause pooling, stagnation, or even a dangerous blockage. And when that blockage happens in certain areas, the results can change your life in an instant. It doesn't matter how healthy you eat or how much you walk. If your blood can't move freely while you sleep, you're at risk. The scary part? You might never feel it happening. This is why you'll want to stay with me all the way through this video. We're going to uncover 5 common sleeping positions that, while they might seem harmless or even comfortable, can silently increase your risk of serious health problems overnight. Some of them are so ordinary, you probably did one of them last night without a second thought. But once you know the truth, you'll never look at those positions the same way again. One of them, in fact, might be the exact opposite of what you've always been told is the safest way to sleep. I'm not here to suggest expensive gadgets or to turn your nightly rest into a chore. What I am here to do is show you what's happening inside your body while you sleep, and how a few small changes can mean better circulation, better oxygen flow, and better protection for your brain. These are changes that cost nothing, require no special training, and yet could be the difference between waking up refreshed and waking up with the first signs of something serious. Before we dive into the list, I want to ask you for a quick favor. If you find this kind of information valuable, information that could help you or someone you love live longer and healthier, please subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep creating videos that matter, videos that inform and empower. And every time you subscribe or share, you're helping someone else find the knowledge they might need at just the right time. Now, here's something I'd like you to think about before we move on, because I want you to engage with this personally. Imagine 2 choices. A, keep sleeping exactly the way you always have, even if it might be silently increasing your risk. B, make small, simple changes to your sleeping position to protect your brain and your heart. Which would you choose? Type your answer, A or B, in the comments below, and let's see how many of us are ready to take control of our health starting tonight. Let's start with something most of us don't think twice about, the way we position our legs at night. After a long day, it might feel comforting to cross your legs or tuck your knees in just a little, maybe even prop them up on a pillow. It's cozy. It feels like a natural way to relax. But for someone in their 60s, 70s, or beyond, that simple comfort can have a very different effect on what's happening inside your body while you sleep. When you keep your legs pressed together or crossed for hours, you're applying steady pressure on veins that are already working harder than they did when you were younger. Blood that should be flowing freely from your lower legs back toward your heart now has to fight through narrow, compressed pathways. That resistance can cause blood to pool, and over time, this stagnation can lead to something far more dangerous, a blood clot forming deep inside the leg. In medical terms, this is called deep vein thrombosis. You might not notice any warning signs while you sleep. You might not feel a thing in the morning, but those clots can move. And if one travels to the lungs or the brain, the results can be life-altering. As we age, our circulation slows down naturally. Our veins lose some of their elasticity. The muscle movement that once helped push blood upward during the day simply isn't there while we're lying still at night. Combine all of that with a position that compresses the veins for hours, and you have the perfect setup for trouble you never saw coming. I once heard about a man in his 70s who loved to sleep with his legs slightly elevated on a firm pillow. He thought it helped his back. And in some cases, a gentle incline from ankle to knee can be beneficial, easing pressure on joints and helping fluid drain. But his pillow was too high, bending his knees sharply and trapping blood in the lower leg. After waking up with swelling and discomfort, a trip to the doctor revealed a clot that had formed over weeks of sleeping that way. The lesson here isn't that elevation is bad, it's that how you elevate matters. A small adjustment in height can mean the difference between helping your circulation and quietly hurting it. Now let's talk about another position that seems harmless but can be risky, especially as we age. Lying flat on your back with no head support at all. It sounds like the most neutral, balanced way to rest. No bending, no twisting, just straight alignment. But when your head and upper body are completely level with the rest of you, gravity stops assisting the return of blood from the brain to the heart. Instead, blood can pool in the upper torso and head, increasing intracranial pressure and slowing circulation through delicate brain vessels. For older adults whose veins and arteries are already narrower and less flexible, this sluggish flow can raise the risk of clot formation in the brain's venous system. This isn't only about blood flow. For many people, lying completely flat can also affect breathing. If you have mild sleep apnea, heart problems, or even just a tendency to breathe shallowly during the night, this position can make it harder for your lungs to deliver enough oxygen to your brain. The brain is incredibly sensitive to oxygen levels, and even small drops over several hours can affect how you feel the next morning. Foggy, lightheaded, or with a dull headache that lingers for hours. A retired teacher I know, a man in his 80s, had always believed that lying perfectly flat was good for his posture. But over the years, he noticed he was waking up more tired than when he went to bed, often with headaches that only faded by midday. His doctor suggested something simple: add another pillow or use a wedge to gently raise his head and shoulders. Within days, his mornings felt clearer, his energy returned, and the headache stopped. It wasn't magic. It was improved blood flow and better oxygenation during sleep. The key here isn't to sleep sitting up like you're in an airplane seat. It's about a subtle lift, just enough to help gravity keep blood and oxygen moving smoothly without straining your neck or spine. Too much elevation can cause its own problems, like neck stiffness or lower back discomfort. The sweet spot is a gentle incline, one that supports both comfort and circulation. This might mean experimenting with an extra pillow, a small wedge, or an adjustable bed setting until you find what works best for you. These two positions, legs compressed for hours or lying perfectly flat, share a common thread. They both interfere with the body's natural flow systems during the one time of day when you have the least control over them. You're not awake to shift or adjust. You're not moving to help your blood circulate. That's why the position you choose before you fall asleep matters so much. It sets the stage for the entire night. So before we move on, take a moment to think about your own routine. Do you cross your legs without realizing it as you drift off? Do you lie perfectly flat because it seems safe or healthy? Small habits like these might feel comfortable now, but they could be making your body work harder than it should while you rest. And when your body works harder at night, it can't fully repair, recharge, and restore itself the way it's meant to. The truth is, sleep should be a time of renewal. But for that to happen, your body needs positions that allow blood to move freely, oxygen to flow easily, and pressure to stay balanced. The right adjustments are small, simple, and once you make them, they become second nature. The difference they make, though, can be huge, measured not just in how you feel in the morning, but in the protection they give you over the years to come. There's a reason so many of us find comfort in curling up on our side at night. It feels familiar, safe, almost like the body's way of tucking itself in. Many of us have slept this way since childhood, knees drawn in, chin tucked down, shoulders folding forward as if we're sheltering ourselves from the world. But for someone in their later years, that same posture can slowly work against the very systems that keep the brain healthy. When the knees are pulled tightly toward the chest and the head bends forward, the neck naturally tilts, narrowing the pathway for blood to travel through the arteries that run along its sides. These arteries, the carotid arteries, are major highways of oxygen-rich blood to the brain. Compress them for hours at a time, and the flow is reduced. It might not cause an immediate crisis, but over the years, night after night, the impact can add up. And it's not just about blood flow. That deep curl also limits the capacity of your lungs to expand. With the chest and diaphragm compressed, each breath becomes slightly shallower. It may not feel like much, but when you combine reduced blood flow to the brain with reduced oxygen intake, you create a double hit to one of the most important organs in your body. The brain depends on a steady stream of oxygen and nutrients, and even small reductions, sustained over hours, can leave you waking up less refreshed, more foggy, and sometimes with a heaviness you can't quite explain. A woman I once met, Helen, had spent her whole life sleeping curled up tight on her side. She said it was the only way she could truly fall asleep. But in her 70s, she started noticing a strange tingling in her hands upon waking, sometimes paired with lightheadedness when she sat up. At first, she blamed age or perhaps her mattress, but after speaking with a sleep specialist, she learned that her posture was not only compressing blood vessels, but also placing pressure on certain nerves, cutting off normal circulation and nerve signaling for hours at a time. The solution wasn't to abandon side sleeping entirely. It was to open her posture just enough to restore healthy alignment. This is the important distinction. Sleeping on your side can still be perfectly healthy, but only when done in a way that respects the body's natural curves and keeps the spine in neutral alignment. Think of it like freezing your body in the same position it would take if you were standing upright, then gently tipping that posture onto its side. Your neck remains straight, your head level, your knees bent just slightly instead of tightly drawn in. This position allows your lungs to expand fully and keeps the arteries in your neck free of unnecessary pressure. For those who find it hard to break the habit of curling tightly, small tools can make a big difference. A pillow between the knees can prevent the legs from crossing inward too far. A small cushion behind your back can stop you from rolling further into a tight curl during the night. These aren't big changes. They're little nudges toward a position that supports your body's needs rather than working against them. Over time, your muscles and joints adapt, and what once felt unnatural begins to feel just as comforting as the old habit. It's also worth mentioning that as we age, our tissues become more sensitive to pressure. Nerves that could once handle hours of compression without protest may now send signals of numbness, tingling, or even pain after a much shorter time. This is your body's way of warning you that circulation and nerve function are being compromised. Ignoring those signs can allow the damage to build slowly, until one day it's no longer just a morning annoyance, but a more serious problem that's harder to reverse. You might wonder, if curling up feels so natural, why would the body choose such a position if it's not the best for long-term health? The answer lies in comfort, habit, and a sense of safety. The fetal position mimics the posture we all had before birth, protected, enclosed. It can be a way of calming ourselves without even realizing it. But what's comforting to the mind in the short term isn't always the best choice for the body over the long haul, especially when the body has changed with age. Think of it this way. In your 20s or 30s, you could probably fall asleep on a couch in a twisted position and wake up with nothing more than a sore neck. In your 70s or 80s, the same posture can interfere with blood and oxygen flow for the better part of the night. The stakes are higher, and the margin for error is smaller. That's why even small adjustments to a deeply ingrained habit can have such a significant impact on how you feel in the morning and on your long-term health. By keeping your body more open and aligned while side sleeping, you're allowing every part of your circulatory and respiratory systems to do their job without added strain. You're giving your brain the resources it needs to restore itself overnight, and you're reducing the chances that those subtle, repeated reductions in blood and oxygen will build into something far more dangerous. In the end, side sleeping can be both comfortable and healthy. It just takes a bit of awareness, a willingness to adapt, and the understanding that comfort and safety can exist together in the same position. Once you find that balance, you give yourself the gift of rest that truly renews you night after night. One habit many people carry into their later years without a second thought is tucking one arm under the head or wedging it beneath the pillow. It might start as a small adjustment to find the right angle for comfort, or simply because that's the way you've always slept. For some, it's even a form of security. An arm cradled under the head feels familiar and supportive. But the reality is that this position quietly works against the flow of blood through some of the most important pathways in your upper body. When your arm is locked under your head for hours, the shoulder rotates forward and the weight of your head and pillow presses down, narrowing the space for blood to move through the subclavian artery and nearby vessels. These aren't just responsible for delivering blood to your arm. They connect to the systems that keep a steady supply moving toward your neck and brain. Over the course of a night, that pressure can slow circulation, creating tiny pockets where blood doesn't flow as freely as it should. In a younger body, the vessels and tissues might bounce back quickly. But as we age, those vessels are less flexible, more easily narrowed, and slower to recover from sustained pressure. The longer the compression lasts, the greater the chance of reduced oxygen delivery, not just to the arm, but to the brain itself. This can also be compounded by nerve compression in the shoulder and upper arm. Many people are familiar with waking up to a numb, tingling hand or fingers that feel clumsy for a few minutes. That's a sign your body wasn't getting the blood and oxygen it needed during those hours. For some, the sensation fades quickly, but that doesn't erase the strain the body endured while you slept. I once heard from a man named Leonard, a retired machinist in his 70s, who had always slept with his left arm folded under his head. He assumed the numbness in his arm each morning was simply part of getting older. But one day, after waking with his vision slightly blurred and a dizzy spell that wouldn't fade, he sought medical advice. The conclusion surprised him. Years of sleeping in that position had been restricting blood flow to his brain in subtle but measurable ways. Changing his sleeping habits, placing his head directly on a supportive pillow, and keeping his arms free made a dramatic difference in just a few weeks. The adjustment here is straightforward, but requires intention. Instead of using your arm as a pillow, choose one that supports the natural curve of your neck and keeps your head level with your spine. If you miss the feeling of something under your head, place a small cushion above your shoulder, allowing your arm to rest comfortably without carrying the weight of your head. This small change protects your circulation and reduces unnecessary strain on the joints and nerves in your shoulder and neck. Another position that deserves attention is sleeping with your neck twisted sharply to one side for the entire night. This often happens when lying on a couch, in a recliner, or even in bed if the pillow isn't the right shape. When the neck is rotated too far for too long, it can partially compress the vertebral arteries that travel through the bones of your neck, supplying blood to the back of your brain. It can also create inflammation in the cervical spine, further reducing efficiency of blood flow. You may not notice anything during the night. There's no sudden jolt of pain to wake you up. But in the morning, the signs can be there: a stiff neck, a lingering headache, or a feeling of being off balance. Consider the case of Martha, a woman in her late 70s who loved sleeping on her side but often allowed her chin to drop toward her shoulder. She assumed her neck pain was just a sign of age, something to live with. But when she adjusted her pillow to keep her head aligned with her spine, the change was remarkable. Her neck pain eased and that sense of imbalance in the mornings began to fade. She hadn't realized that a simple twist in the neck could interfere with blood flow to her brain throughout the night. The common thread between these positions, an arm trapped under the head or a neck twisted too far, is prolonged compression. Blood vessels, nerves, and even the supporting structures of the spine are designed to handle movement and shifting, not hours of fixed pressure. In a younger body, these systems can adapt and recover more quickly. But with age, the margin for error narrows. Even seemingly minor restrictions, if repeated nightly, can contribute to reduced circulation and oxygen delivery over time. The solution lies in mindful alignment. Whether you sleep on your back or your side, aim for a position where your neck stays neutral, your arms are free from carrying weight, and your head rests on a surface that supports without distorting your posture. If you tend to drift into awkward positions during the night, a small pillow behind your back or in front of your chest can help keep you in a healthier alignment. These adjustments don't require fancy equipment or expensive bedding. They simply require awareness and the willingness to listen to what your body is telling you. Those little signals of numbness, stiffness, or morning discomfort are messages worth paying attention to. When you protect your circulation during sleep, you're not only preventing discomfort the next day, you're safeguarding your brain's health for the long term. Because in the stillness of the night, when you're completely unaware, the way you position your body can either work quietly in your favor or slowly chip away at your well-being. By freeing your arms, keeping your neck straight, and choosing support that encourages natural alignment, you give your body the best chance to do what sleep is meant for, restoring and repairing without hidden obstacles standing in the way. Some sleeping habits seem so harmless that we never stop to question them. One of these is allowing your neck to rest in a sharply twisted position for the entire night. This can happen without you realizing it. Maybe you fall asleep on the couch with your head turned toward the armrest, or you settle into bed with your chin tilted toward your shoulder because the pillow doesn't fit quite right. In that moment, it feels comfortable enough. But over the hours that follow, that simple twist can quietly interfere with one of the brain's most important lifelines. Running through the bones of your neck are the vertebral arteries responsible for delivering blood to the back of your brain. When your neck is rotated too far, these arteries can become partially compressed. It's a bit like bending a garden hose. Water will still flow, but at a reduced rate. In the body, that means less oxygen-rich blood reaching vital brain tissue. Reduced circulation doesn't just happen in the moment. It also creates conditions where blood flow is sluggish enough to increase the risk of clot formation. If such a clot were to block the vessel entirely, the outcome could be severe. Neck twisting also strains the cervical spine, the structure of bones, discs, and ligaments that supports your head. Inflammation or swelling in this area can further reduce the space for arteries and veins to function normally. The result is a combination of mechanical restriction and biological response, both working to limit circulation. You might not wake during the night because of it, but in the morning you could notice stiffness, headaches, dizziness, or even a subtle sense that your balance is off. Consider the experience of Martha, a woman in her late 70s who preferred side sleeping but often let her head drop forward toward her shoulder. It was such a natural position for her that she never thought twice about it. But as time passed, she noticed more frequent neck pain and a lingering fogginess in the morning. When her doctor suggested adjusting her pillow so that her neck stayed aligned with her spine, she reluctantly tried it. To her surprise, the change didn't make sleep less comfortable. Instead, her mornings became clearer, the stiffness faded, and the strange balance issues began to disappear. The key lesson is that the neck is not designed to hold a twisted position for hours at a time. Every degree of rotation increases strain on the muscles, joints, and blood vessels. In short bursts, like when you glance over your shoulder, it's harmless. But in the stillness of sleep, where the body remains fixed, it becomes a prolonged stress that accumulates night after night. Over time, the effects can be more than just discomfort. They can influence your long-term brain health. The solution is both simple and personal. Start with a pillow that matches your sleeping style. Whether you're a back sleeper or a side sleeper, the goal is to keep your head in line with your spine. For side sleepers, this often means a pillow that fills the space between your head and the mattress without letting your neck tilt down or push up unnaturally. For back sleepers, it's about gentle support under the neck without forcing the head forward. If you tend to roll into awkward positions, placing a small cushion behind your back or under your chin can help guide you into a healthier alignment. It's worth taking the time to experiment. The right position won't just feel comfortable at the start of the night, it will leave you waking without pain, tension, or that heavy-headed feeling. And while the benefits might be subtle at first, maybe you just feel a bit more alert in the morning, they build over time. You're giving your brain consistent, unobstructed access to the blood and oxygen it needs for repair and renewal. What's important to remember is that small, repeated stresses can be just as harmful as large, sudden ones. A single night of sleeping with your neck twisted isn't likely to cause a crisis, but months and years of it can quietly contribute to issues that are much harder to reverse. By paying attention now, you can prevent those problems before they take root. This isn't about making sleep complicated or turning it into a checklist of rules. It's about awareness, knowing that the way you position your head and neck has real consequences for your health. Just as you wouldn't spend your waking hours with your head turned sharply to one side, you shouldn't spend your sleeping hours that way either. Sleep is your body's most important recovery time, and it deserves a posture that supports that process. When you straighten your neck and keep it aligned through the night, you're doing more than preventing stiffness or morning discomfort. You're ensuring that your brain gets the steady, unrestricted circulation it depends on. That's an investment, not just in how you feel tomorrow, but in how you protect your cognitive health for years to come. In the quiet hours of the night, these small choices matter more than you think, and the benefits they bring can be some of the most lasting gifts you give yourself. When we think about taking care of our health, we often focus on what we eat, how much we exercise, and the medicines we take. But there's a quiet part of our lives that can have just as much impact on our well-being: how we sleep. The hours we spend resting are supposed to be a time for the body to repair, for the brain to recover, and for every cell to recharge. Yet the way we position ourselves during those hours can either help that process or quietly work against it. Small habits like crossing our legs, curling too tightly, twisting the neck, or tucking an arm under the head might seem harmless, but over time they can limit blood flow, reduce oxygen, and put unnecessary strain on the body. These are changes we might not feel right away, but the effects build over months and years. For those of us past 60, when the body's circulation is naturally slower and tissues are more sensitive to pressure, those small stresses can carry a heavier cost. The most powerful lesson here is that our nightly comfort should never come at the expense of our long-term health. We can keep the feelings of warmth and security that come with certain sleeping positions, but we need to adapt them to the needs of our aging bodies. That might mean placing a pillow between the knees instead of locking them together, keeping the neck in line with the spine instead of twisted to one side, or choosing a pillow that supports the head without forcing the chin down or back. These are not complicated changes, and they don't require giving up the positions we love completely. They simply reshape them so our bodies can rest safely and fully. The deeper message is this: our bodies are always speaking to us. The stiffness in the morning, the tingling in a hand, the dull headache after waking, these are all signals worth listening to. Instead of accepting them as just part of getting older, we can view them as gentle reminders to adjust, to care for ourselves in ways that match where we are in life now. Adapting our sleeping positions is one of the simplest, most affordable, and most effective steps we can take toward protecting our brain, our heart, and our overall vitality. So tonight, as you lay down, take a moment to notice your posture. Ask yourself, is this position helping my body restore itself, or could it be making the night harder on me? That small act of awareness can lead to years of better mornings and stronger health. Here's a simple question for you. If making one small change to your sleeping position could help you protect your brain and heart, would you do it? Please share your answer in the comments so we can all learn from each other's perspectives. And if you found this video helpful, inspiring, or worth sharing, we'd be deeply grateful if you subscribe to our channel. Your support is what keeps us going. Leave a comment with your thoughts. We read every one, and your ideas help us create better videos just for you. Let's share our stories and experiences here at Beyond 60 Wisdom so we can grow together and keep each other inspired. Thank you, from the bottom of our hearts, for spending this time with us today. You're the reason we do what we do, and we look forward to being part of your journey every single day.